Okay, welcome everyone to our North and South Florida District Office webinar regarding Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. I am joined here by two of my colleagues that are going to be presenting, Janelle Hine and Julie Garrett, I'm sorry. Do you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Janelle Hine, District Director with the North Florida District Office. We're doing this as a collaboration since Mother Nature has blessed us with too many blessings this year, last year, and the previous year. But just to get some information out to you generally about what happens when you try to access our disaster loans. And I will say, as Aileen said, we are joined by Julie Garrett. She works with our Office of Disaster Resilience and Recovery. So I'm going to turn it over to her now. Julie, you're muted.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Garrett. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience at SBA. I'm actually in Florida working on recovery. I was working in Volusia County, and now I'm over in Tampa, and I'm well aware of the challenges you're facing. And I know it's a very stressful time for you, and I hope the information in this presentation is going to help.
Excellent. Julie, and I'm Aileen Fernandez. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Aileen
Fernandez.
Go ahead. I didn't mention.
Go ahead.
From the South Florida District Office, Outreach and Marketing Specialist, and just grateful to be here with you guys and bring whatever that you need. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Julie, I was going to say, just let me know when you want me to move the slides ahead. And for everyone that's joining us, Aileen will be watching the chat. So if you have questions, we'll break into the presentation with pertinent questions that are happening. If not, we'll just give you some general information and ways that you can link up with SBA for disaster assistance. So take it away, Julie.
Okay, great. So let's get to the first slide. Okay, so sorry, there's something covering my screen. Okay, so the first thing that we want to share with you is that you can go to sba.gov disaster and put in your state and put in your county and see all of the declarations that you can apply for. A lot of states here in Florida were impacted by both Helene and Milton. That's confusing to folks. They think, oh, well, which one should I apply for? The answer is you can apply for both, or you can choose the one that created the most damage. But we're going to go over first Helene and then Milton. This information is on what we call the fact sheet. And when you look up the declaration online, down at the bottom of the page, it will say documents, and you can pull up the fact sheet. So the counties affected in Florida that are primary are here at the top. That's Alachua, Baker, Bradford, Charlotte, Citrus, Collier, Columbia, DeSoto, Dixie, Duval, Franklin, Gilchrist, Gulf, Hamilton, Hernando, Hillsborough, Jefferson, Lafayette, Lee, Leon, Levy, Madison, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, Putnam, Sarasota, Suwannee, Taylor, Union, and Wakulla. So those are primary counties. They're listed at the top, and what that means is that all of the disaster loans are available in those counties. So if you had physical damage in your business, a homeowner, renter, or nonprofit, you can apply for a physical disaster loan in those counties. And if you are having economic losses, even if you didn't have physical damage, if you're a small business in those counties, you can apply for an economic injury disaster loan to see you through the recovery period. Now, these contiguous counties, where it says Florida and Georgia, I'm not going to read them all off. In those counties, you can apply for economic injury disaster loans only. So just if your business is being economically affected, disasters don't obey county lines and there can be bleed over. In the nearby counties, you can have trouble with your employees or, who might have had their homes destroyed, whatever. So we have contiguous counties with economic injury disaster loans. So you can apply using this QR code here, but you can also go to sba.gov disaster. You can get help at a center if you call 800-659-2955. They can tell you the closest recovery center near you. And you can also get that information off our website. We have an 800 number, 659-2955, 800-659-2955. That is our customer service line where you can ask questions about the disaster loan process or the program. Okay, next slide. So for Milton, the primary counties in Florida where there was the most serious damage are Brevard, Charlotte, Citrus, Clay, Collier, DeSoto, Duval, Flagler, Glades, Hardy, Hendry, Hernando, Highlands, Hillsborough, Indian River, Lake, Lee, Manatee, Marion, Martin, Okeechobee, Orange, Osceola, Palm Beach, Pasco, Pinellas, Polk, Putnam, Sarasota, Seminole, St. John, St. Lucie, Sumter, Volusia, and the Miccosukee Tribe of Indians of Florida. And once again, all counties that are contiguous to those, the counties that touch those primary counties, have economic injury disaster loans in them. Again, same thing. There's a scan code for looking up the declaration online and the same information for how to get assistance. Next slide, please. So what's available? Like what type of loans do we have? So if you had physical damage to your business, you can borrow up to $2 million for your uncompensated losses. When people hear that, they think, oh, I can just decide how much money I want and ask the SBA for it. It's not like that. The SBA will look at your losses, consider your insurance or anything that helped pay for those losses, and then offer you an amount to make up the difference for what you need to recover. So physical damage loans, they can cover anything like leasehold improvements, inventory, fixtures, anything like that, anything physical having to do with your business. And let's see, so you've got all of them on here. Okay, so if you're a homeowner, that's up to $500,000 for your home. And if you're a business, up to $2 million. And then renters and homeowners can borrow up to I'm looking on here. Okay, up to $100,000 to replace or repair their personal property. And that includes vehicles. Like if your car got flooded, you can apply for a loan under that personal property section. And then you can also add 20% of your verified losses to your loan to make mitigation improvements so that you can build back stronger. I'm in Tampa right now, so a lot of people are asking if we have funding for elevation. The funding that we have would be that 20% mitigation. So that's not enough to elevate a house, but it could contribute toward what you need to do that. But it can also do things like you can use it to buy a door barrier, a flood barrier, sump pumps, that kind of thing. You can use mitigation money to do physical excavating around your home or business so that water runs off better. Like you can use it in a lot of different ways. So the loan term's up to 30 years, and it's based on your ability to repay. The fixed rate interest for businesses is as low as 4%, 3.25% for private nonprofits, and 2.813% for homeowners and renters. There are no payments and no interest accrues for the first 12 months after you sign your loan documents. The deadlines are coming up. There's a really good chance these will be extended, but at this time, the physical loan application deadline for Helene is coming up. It's November 27th. And for Milton, it's December 10th. Okay, advance.
Real quick, Julie, just in case, I know we have some savvy people that have probably heard in the news that there is a lapse of funding for disaster loans. We want to tell everybody, even though there may be an extension, that's not a guarantee. We have the November 27th right now as the deadline for Helene and December 10th for Milton. What we are doing is still accepting applications. We're working them through up until we can do a loan commitment. And once Congress provides more appropriations, we'll be ready to hit the button on the loan approvals at that point. So don't not apply just because we have a lapse in funding right now. That's kind of what I wanted to tell everybody, Julie. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you so much for bringing that up and bringing it up at this point in the presentation. A lot of people are talking about that as well. I mean, Congress just went back into session on the 12th, just a couple days ago. Hopefully, they're going to pass that appropriation soon. We want you to get in that queue. Like, we're processing loans as the loan applications as they come in. So the sooner you get your application in, the faster we can approve it. And like Jonelle said, once those funds become available, hopefully the disbursement will be very speedy. Okay, next slide, please.
This is the next one. This is the economic injury
Oh, okay.
loans.
Okay,
No
sorry.
worries.
So economic injury disaster loans, I just was on another call right before this where they were talking about the drop in tourism in Florida, like up here in St. Pete and Tampa, because of the damage. So even if you didn't have damage specifically, you might be seeing some economic loss from the storms. Economic injury disaster loans, you will automatically be considered for those when you apply for a physical disaster loan if you're a small business. But if you're a small business that didn't have damage, you can still apply for an economic injury disaster loan because you still are probably seeing effects in your area if it was a hard hit area. So economic injury disaster loans, you might be familiar with these because of the COVID EIDL. A lot of times people ask, can I apply for this if I already have an EIDL or I already have a loan from Ian? Yes, you can. We cannot combine the payments into one. The payments stack, but you can apply for as many disasters as you are affected by if you choose to. So don't worry about applying if you already have a disaster loan. So working capital loans for businesses and private nonprofit organizations, that is designed to help you get through the recovery period. SBA will look at your monthly operating expenses, project how long it will take for things to go back to normal, and then offer you an amount based on what they think you need to get through that recovery period. Again, it's not like you just come up with a figure and apply. SBA is going to look at your expenses and then make you an offer for the loan. Again, if it's $50,000 or less, there is no collateral for these loans. And again, no payments or interest for the first 12 months after you sign your documents. Okay, so people ask a lot, well, what does my credit have to be to apply? We don't release that information. I don't even know what it is. You need to demonstrate that you have a credit history acceptable to SBA and that you have the ability to repay the loan. We're a cash flow lender. We're very concerned with just you being able to repay the loan. You don't have to have a lot of capital or a lot of property to apply. Let's see. I think I talked about this. Yeah. Jonelle, anything you want to add here?
Well, actually, I advanced the slide and I should have gone back. So,
Okay.
just that that change in the collateral requirements, making the first 50,000 of each of these types of loans unsecured, is a big change. It used to be 25,000. It's jumped up to 50,000. We've had some recent changes in here. Again, the $100,000 for homeowners and renters for contents, the 500,000 available for our home loans. All of those have been recent changes. That, along with the 12 months without payments and no accrual of the interest, all of those have been significant changes the SBA has been doing because we know that people have been affected, not just here in Florida. We have about 40 open disaster declarations around the country. So it is something that's open and available. And I just wanted to kind of define one thing, Julie. I know you mentioned the mitigation amount, where it's up to 20% of your actual total loss, that you can get additional funding from SBA to make yourself better, whether it's shutters, a generator, a seawall, lifting your particular property, whatever it is. It used to be that mitigation funds had to be directly related to the storm or disaster that was being declared. Now it's anything that makes your property, whether it's business or personal, better. Like you can say, well, my house didn't flood in Milton this time, but I know it's in a flood area, so I need to really raise the property. That's the kind of changes that we've done that I think have been really instrumental in helping a ton more borrowers than what we had in the past. So thanks for letting me chime in, Julie.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, what she said is really true. That mitigation funding, you can add that to your loan for 2 years from the time you get your loan. So if you don't know right now what kind of project you like to do and you need time to, consider things or talk to contractors, you've got it. You've got up to 2 years to add mitigation funding to your loan. Let's see. What kind of documentation is needed? Okay, initially when you put in your loan application, it's pretty simple. We don't ask for tons of stuff right in the beginning, but then as the loan officer starts to process your application, they will send you what we call service requests. So you're going to start a portal on our website to start the loan application process, and you want to check your portal frequently. You want to stay in touch with us and supply that information as we ask for it, because that keeps your loan moving through the application process. If they reach out and ask you for documentation that you don't supply, you run the risk of having your application withdrawn. And it's very simple to apply for reacceptance. It's just a button that you need to push, but you don't want that to happen. You want to keep things rolling. So keep in touch with us and really watch your portal. So what do you need to apply? You need the cell phone number and contact information for all of your applicants. And what that means normally is any business owner with 20% or more of the business. You need proof of residence in the disaster area declared, social security numbers and employer ID numbers for all the owners, your financial information, income, account balances, monthly expenses, a copy of your most recent federal income tax return, and your insurance information if that's available. And by that, we mean your insurance company and your policy number. So please have that if you have that available. That can speed things up. Oh,
This
these are
is,
screens
yeah.
showing you how to apply. Okay. Sorry,
You're actually
this is
going to
the
do
first.
an actual demonstration on how to go to the website to show everybody. Just want everybody to know, but we provide these
Yeah.
just for information purposes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this just shows you what it's going to look like. It's like applying for a loan on like any other online loan application. Really, you open a portal, you start a portal, you load your information. You want to make sure you remember your username and password, and then you are going to search for the declaration. I can show you how that works on the actual website. Okay, next. Yes, that's really important. So you definitely want to use your legal name as it appears on your federal tax return. Okay, you definitely want to match your tax return. If you use your middle initial on your tax return, use it here. If you use your middle name, use it here. You want those things to line up and match. That's very important. Multiple login attempts could lock out your portal. Yep, all these things. Let me see. Okay, I think we talked about this. So if something happens and your portal does get locked, there is a number you can call for help with that. Is that going to come up on another slide here?
It's not. We typically are telling them just to call the customer service line.
Okay. All right. Well, I can find that number before we end if you want. Okay. Next slide.
Well, the next slide is, I'm going to stop it so that you can do an
Okay.
actual demonstration, but I wanted to go back to the first bullet point here. Legal name, we were talking about individuals, but it's also very important for businesses. However, your business name is listed on your tax return, it has to match on that application. Anything that throws off, if it's a comma, if it's a period, if you've got Inc. versus LLC, you've got to get it to match what your tax papers say, because if not, it's kind of a question mark for our disaster loan officers, and they'll ask you why you're applying in a different name than what you have on your tax returns. Now, if you are you do DBA, make sure that, again, it's the corporate name you're putting on the application and then letting us know that you have a DBA. But the DBA is not the official name of your business. It's the corporate name that would go on your tax returns. So I'm going to stop sharing now, Julie, if you want to share your screen, and then we'll go back to the presentation afterwards.
Okay. Another thing that is really good to have when you apply is the month and year your business was established. You're going to need that as well. So make sure you have that. And they're going to ask you for your organizational type. Janelle, you can explain that. I'll find the file here just a minute. All right.
You mean the difference between LLCs and?
Yes.
Okay, so we allow all businesses to apply, as Julie said, nonprofits, which would be someone that is running the business under their own social security number. You might have an EIN, but still be listed as a sole proprietor. You might be like a gig worker and it's just you, right? It could be that you are a corporation, whether an S Corp or a C Corp, and also the LLC, which is the limited liability company, or a limited partnership. We accept all of those forms of organizations. So it really is up to you how you put it in. But again, it has to align with what you have on your tax returns.
Right. So I can show you the search, but I can also put in the URL for each disaster. I'll show you the search first, I guess. So let's say I put in sba.gov disaster. That's easy to remember. Then apply for an SBA disaster loan. And then I'm going to look up the disaster. So let's say I'm going to do Florida by state. And let's say I'm going to do Pinellas County. Continue. And then let's say I'm going to mark business. And it's going to say, which of these? I'll say physical damage. And then the date of the damage, I actually know that just from working down here. So I'll put that in, but you don't even need to know that to apply. And then just a minute.
Julie, here, can you tell them the difference? I mean, I think I know what the difference is between these two disaster declarations. They may not know.
Yeah, this is a little confusing, I think, for, in general, when you get here. One of these declarations is the presidential declaration. The other is what we call the PNP declaration. You want to apply under the presidential declaration. And let me just see which one that is. Sorry, I've got to check.
I think it's usually the one that's the lower number. So I think 12 came before 14. So
let's see if it's the right one. 9 documents. It might not be. I think it's the other one. Oh, no, this is it. So that's great. Okay. So you click on that and here you have the declaration. It's great because there's a map. The dark colored counties are primary. That's where you have more loan options. The gray counties are the contiguous. As you see, they're nearby, that county line thing where we want to have options for people who might not have had serious physical damage. They still are having impacts. And then down here where it says documents, can you all see that okay? You want to click this down arrow, and that is where you can find the fact sheet. The fact sheet is very helpful. It's in English and Spanish. It's going to list the counties and then very detailed information about the declaration, including the interest rates and that kind of thing. This is what it looks like. Here's Helene's. It's going to have the incident date, the counties, the deadlines are right here, the types of loans available, interest, the terms, et cetera, et cetera. So that is the meat. When you get to that web page, you want to download the fact sheet. That's going to give you really good information. So then let's say you want to apply and you want to apply online. You can hit this and that is going to take you to starting a portal, which we showed you in the earlier slides. And then once you have the portal done, you will actually apply for the disaster loan. I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with this kind of thing just because so much is online now. Okay.
So basically you're creating a portal account, and then once you have the meat and potatoes for that, what your name is and things like that, how to contact you, then you can go and apply for the actual disaster loan.
Exactly, exactly. Also, I'm going to be, okay, we've got these we already talked about. Let me see.
Let me add one more thing, Julie. If by chance anyone that's on the call today already has an SBA loan, whether it was through COVID or one of our regular loans, you probably already have access to that portal and have used it before. When you go to the landing page, when you first sign in, our screen, which I'll show again when I come back to the presentation, there, the third box over is how you can apply for disaster if you're already an existing SBA client. You don't have to create your own portal again.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if you have other loans, let's say you've never created a portal and you have an older loan, if you put in the actual loan number, SBA will pull in the information from your loan. So that's really great too. You can get everything in one place. By the way, under this document section at the bottom, it says locations to receive assistance. There is a slide about this, but this is where you can download the actual center information. It's got the addresses and the hours in it. And you can see what's convenient for you, what's near your house, what's available there. This is great. You definitely want to check that file out. So it's just at the bottom of the documents right here, locations to receive assistance, very important. And also, if you see here, there's multiple languages: German, Creole, Hebrew, Korean, Portuguese, Russian, Chinese, Tagalog, Vietnamese. So if you need the fact sheet in other languages, you can also get that information here. I'm going to stop sharing right now. Okay. You want to keep going, Janelle?
I will, yes. So
Okay.
I said I was going to go back to the slide. So this is the one that I was talking about. If you have the My Loan portal already, what you'll see is that on the third column over, it does list how to apply. That's a link to applying as well. You don't have to go through our sba.gov/disaster website, but you can. So it's just an option. So, okay, so moving forward, we already covered this. What I'm going to talk about a little bit about is some assistance that's out there and available to you. We're going to get to those individual locations, but we do have SBA resource partners, which are our SCORE chapters, our small business development centers that are tied to public universities here in Florida. We have our women's business centers. There's 5 of them in the state of Florida. And then we also have one veteran business outreach center that's in the Panhandle, but again, it covers assistance for the entire state of Florida. These are resources that are not there just for gray sky when we have a disaster, but for blue sky as well. They're given a portion of their funding from SBA to assist you with like A1 class 1A mentoring and consulting. Your taxpayer dollars have already paid for it, so you might as well go. The other thing that they help you with, I will tell you, is that Florida, different than other states, our governor has enacted our Florida Emergency Bridge Loan Program, which is for businesses for quick loans up to $50,000 with no interest for the first year. And those loans actually can be taken out by an SBA loan. So if you need to get some money quickly, since we have a lapse in funding right now, you may want to look at that particular program. And I know for sure that SBDCs are able to help you with that application process. The way to find the one that's closest to you is the web link that's on the bottom of the screen, which is sba.gov and then a / local-assistance. That's a mapping tool. If you put in your zip code, it will tell you which of our resource partner network are located closest to you. And then a lot of contact information so you can get a hold of them. We want to reiterate the information that has already been shared on those first couple screens of how you can get to all of these applications and get additional information. The first thing is the sba.gov / disaster website. As you saw when Julie went there, there's a lot of information on there. We have specific areas that are just for Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. But again, the overall information is always going to be the same. What will change a little bit is sometimes the interest rates and the different counties that are considered primary and contiguous. Helene obviously was a bigger storm. I think it touched 6 different states. Milton was more localized just for Florida, but again, you don't have to determine, it's one or the other. If you have damage from both, as Julie said, you pick which one is the most appropriate. If you had larger damage under one, you may want to do that. There are limits to the loans, as she mentioned earlier, so just be aware of that. But our customer service center is actually a call center. It's in Buffalo, and they are standing ready to help you. They are open, I think, 7 days a week. So if you need assistance or just don't understand what you're doing with the loan application, just have a question, you can always call them. 1-800-659-2955. If you are somebody or know of somebody that has a disability that may have been affected and hasn't yet made the application process, we do have a way for them to also connect with us and be able to get the information in an appropriate platform for them. And you can also email our Disaster Customer Service Center if you don't want to hang on the phone, because sometimes there are higher call volumes. You can always do an email to that center. Now, if you've already got an application in and you want information or have a question about that application, please include the application number. It just makes it so much easier. And thank you, Julie, for putting in that phone number for if people need technical assistance with the loan portal. So now, as Julie said, oh, sorry, you want to say something, Julie?
I just wanted to say, if you are on the phone, so you can't see the chat, I want to just tell you what that number is. So if you have any problem logging into your portal or your portal gets locked, I'm going to give you a number. So grab a pencil. It's 833-572-0502. And that is available Monday through Friday to help you with your portal.
Great, thank you. So now we're going to go into the different areas, different locations where we actually have our disaster people, boots on the ground in our communities to assist you with, if you don't want to apply online, you can actually go to these centers and make the application. If you need to get some documents uploaded to your file, the loan portal, they can assist you with that. They can answer, any questions about the loan process for you. What you'll notice on here is this one is for Hurricane Helene. What you'll see, because we're going to cover Helene and Milton, some of them are similar because, again, different areas were affected by both storms. So just be aware of that. We have what are listed our disaster recovery centers. Those are headed up by FEMA, but SBA is always involved in those centers. We have business recovery centers that are SBA only. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other partners there, because I know with some of the DRC sites, we have maybe some insurance providers. It's possible that some of our resource partners are there as well. Our BRCs also, we will bring other partners in, especially the SBDC network here in Florida has some mobile assistance units that they take called MAX, and they're frequently around in the community as well. What's not listed on here, and that was because it just got created after we created these slides, is the BRAC, the first acronym that you see on that screen. That stands for Business Recovery and Assessment Center. It is at the ECC, the Entrepreneur Collaborative Center in Tampa, in Hillsborough County. And the other thing I want to say is, if you don't have a center in your county, you can go to any of these. It doesn't matter where you live, whatever's closest to you. So if you're maybe live over in Polk County, but you work in Hillsborough County and you want to go there, you can go there. They're not going to turn your way. It's just that they typically are situated in areas that are designated as primary counties. So those that are in the contiguous counties may or may not have an actual physical location to go to. But the Business Recovery and Assistance Center is a little bit different in that it also includes our resource partners in that. And sometimes SBA is there as well. Traditional SBA, not disaster SBA. So just be aware that that's there. It does give you where the address is at, what days they are working, and what their hours are. When we go to the next slide, which is the second slide for Helene, if I can get over there. Okay, this is the second one. There's 3 slides for Helene because it was a larger storm. We had a lot more affected areas, and it was happened before Milton. So this is again different counties: Jefferson, Lafayette, Pinellas, Sarasota. Not every county has one of these. So again, you may have to travel a little bit to get in front of somebody. And then notice this last slide, we do have one that's just opening tomorrow, which is in Leon County at the public library there. So, and I want to caution you, we're going to give you a copy of these slides, but because this is an ever evolving situation, some of these locations will be opening and closing. It's always best to go to that sba.gov/disaster, and where Julie said, where you can look up and go to set up an appointment. If you go there, that's always the most current listing of where these locations are at. So you're never going to get bad information if you go to the sba.gov/disaster website. I just say that because I don't want you to say, well, Janelle from North Florida gave me a presentation today. I go next week and that particular location is not open. it's static. So it's not going to be the same all the time. Just be aware of that. Now we're going to go into Hurricane Milton. Again, a lot of these are similar because some of the counties were affected by both storms. The Bracken Hillsborough County is still also available for Milton as well. It does not have as many locations, but they are filling them out as the need is in there. So going more for the center of the West Coast. However, now we've reached over to the other side of the coast with Martin and continuing to Polk. Notice some of them are closing or opening and closing as of today. Again, it's ever evolving. It's never going to be the same next week. If you come to the same webinar, these locations will have changed. The third page for Hurricane Milton as well. Note the very last one in Volusia, which I think is where Julie said she was at, is permanently closing on November 19th. As is the one in St. Lucie is permanently closing on November 15th, tomorrow. So again, you can go to any of these locations. Go ahead, Julie.
Yeah, so just like Janelle's saying, things change all the time, so you want to look online. But for instance, in Volusia County, yes, that center is closing, but next Monday, one is opening in Deltona at the center in Deltona. So even though that one's closing, there's one opening in West Volusia next week.
Right. And it really depends on especially for the DRCs where we can have FEMA says that we can go. Like they're the ones that drive the train on the DRCs. The other things that we do, which are would be the BRCs, are more up to where SBA wants to put locations. But those mobile DRCs are also under FEMA's kind of control, if you will. And again, a lot of them are sitting out there in different community centers or libraries. Anywhere that we can get into the community is what we want to do. I would ask also that if you're here and listening to this particular webinar, spread the word. Let others know that may not be here today that could actually use this information. Go ahead, Julie. You're on mute.
Another thing that's confusing for folks is they see BRC, Business Recovery Center, and if they're homeowner or renter or a house of worship, they think they cannot go there to get help with their disaster loan. Anybody who wants to put in a disaster loan of any type can go to the BRCs. You don't have to just go there if you're a business. And we know that you're homeowners and renters and the nonprofits as well as businesses. So just know that you can go into any of these locations to get assistance with your loan application.
No matter what kind of organization you are or where you're located at, right? The next slide actually is how to connect with our South Florida office. Again, this is being offered by North and South together in a collaboration. The South Florida district office is actually headquartered down in Miami, although they have an alternate worksite in Tampa. The phone number's on the screen, the email address. If you actually scan that QR code, you will go to their actual website. But we're also always active on social media. So LinkedIn and X are our social media platforms. If you want to get the most up-to-date information, if you, again, scan the QR code down at the very bottom of the website, it says sign up for updates. If you put in your email address and your zip code, you'll get signed up not only for our national distribution list, but you'll get the one for South Florida. And I know Aileen sends out each week a notice of upcoming events, so you'll be able to stay in connection. We also put out a lot of the press releases for disaster on our email distribution list as well. So again, a great way to stay in connection with the South Florida office. This screen is for North Florida. That's me. The upper 43 counties of the state of Florida. South Florida, Aileen's group, they cover the 24 southern counties. So south of Orlando down to the Keys. I cover Orlando up through the Panhandle. Same thing. We have our phone number. We have our email address. If you scan the QR code, you'll go to our website, which has another layer of information that we can give to you. And it has our social media tags as well. So now I think we're going to open it up for questions. So if anyone has any questions, I know Aileen's been very good about answering the questions in the chat, but if there's something that we need to go back to, or you have a question and you want to unmute yourself, If you're on the actual webinar, you can use the microphone button to unmute yourself. If you're on the phone, you would use *6 to unmute yourself. No questions?
No,
I
actually, a
just
lot of
want,
the information that that I was putting on there was just like links and reinforcing some of the information that you guys were all talking about. You know, and the link for the disaster webinars that we are hosting on a weekly basis. So that was it. Go ahead, Julie.
yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I want image
froze,
to your place
Julie.
of business.
You froze up for a minute,
Okay.
Julie. Can you start that over?
Okay. Physical disaster loans can also be used to potentially refinance a property if you have severe damage. You can roll in your mortgage and the repairs into one loan from us at a low interest rate, hopefully. So you can talk to your loan officer about that, and they can also be used to relocate potentially. Some people are very severely impacted by these storms, especially Helene and the flooding. So just realize that you have a lot of options with a disaster loan. You really want to put that application in and talk with people and see what you can potentially do before you make decisions. So please, please apply and just put yourself out there and put that application in. There's no cost to apply, and we encourage you to do it as soon as possible.
Well, I would also say, Julie, that they don't necessarily have to wait until they go through adjudication with their insurance company. We want you to apply ahead of time because we start the process. It gets finished, as Julie said, throughout the process of asking for additional documentation, all that. You will have to put insurance on your property afterwards. That is a requirement of our loans. But if you were uninsured or did not have insurance, or underinsured, meaning you didn't carry sufficient insurance, that's where SBA can come in. So we will not duplicate benefits, meaning if you're going to get some insurance money, we will tailor our loan to make sure that aligns with it. But you don't have to wait to get through the insurance process before you actually apply with SBA. Again, right now, the push is to get you in the queue. We don't have funding yet. We know it'll be coming. And when it does, we want you to be in line so they can just push the button and say, here's the loan commitment, say yes or no. To Julie's point, you don't have to take the loan. There's no harm, no foul if you decide that you are not going to do it. It doesn't align with what you want to do with your business or with your home. You can also lessen the amount of that loan. They will give you what's the maximum that you can have. You can tailor it to your needs. So if you don't want to pledge collateral, you only want the 50,000, you can then lessen the amount and take that as well. So yeah, anything that we can do to make it more palatable to you and make it so that you can repay the loan is what we want to do.
Yeah, there's a few other points. The SBA disaster loan can cover your hurricane deductible. That can be a big consideration here in Florida. So if you have a hefty deductible and they take that out of your insurance company, deducts that from what they're going to give you, you can use an SBA loan to make up that difference. When you are offered a loan, you have 3 weeks to read through the paperwork and decide whether or not you want to take the loan. If you turn it down, you still have 6 months from the date of your notification letter to change your mind. So the loan and just having it as a recovery tool option, whether you take it or not, is just a great idea. Just get that loan application in. I've worked disasters all over the country, and I've met so many people who post deadline wish they had applied. Please don't make that happen for yourself. Just get your application in. No pressure, just get it in, and then you'll have it as an option.
Well, and Julie, as you said, you also have an additional 2 years to determine whether or not an increase is needed for you. Because we know if you look at those deadlines that we had on the screen earlier, for physical loss, it's usually 60 days. That's because we can see physical damage right away. What we can't see is that economic injury. So that has a longer deadline, 9 months. I think it's 9 months, right? Yeah. So if you determine that, you don't know whether or not you're going to see economic injury, again, you may have to be able to prove that there's been economic injury. And again, we're looking at how are you impacted? It could be your employees are moving away. They don't want to live in Florida anymore because, like I said, we've been blessed by Mother Nature. Maybe it's your people, they're your customers, the people that buy your product or service, and they're just not able to recover from the storm either. So that has an impact on your business. Maybe it's your supply chain, your vendors that have gone out of business because they got hit by the storms. There's lots of different things that can impact your business, and you won't know that right as we did the day that the storm hit. You can't see that damage. So we give you a longer time to determine whether or not there's been an impact that you can actually say was caused by these storms. But the point is to apply as much as early as possible so that you can get in on this this type of funding that can help you again bring you back to whole. That's the whole point. We're trying to make you back to whole. The mitigation dollars that Julie mentioned can make you better than whole. It's an option. It's, not everybody wants to take on the additional debt. I will tell you, I heard a couple of years ago that our mitigation, maybe about 6% of people actually take us up on that offer. I think that's leaving some dollars on the table that could help you, because again, when we look at what a traditional loan looks like, our SBA loans are based on what the prime rate is, which right now is 7.75%. For a homeowner, you're at 2.813 or something like that.
Yeah.
For a business, 4% if you don't have credit available elsewhere. You can't get fixed rate funding at this level to get you back to whole from any other source. FEMA, I will tell you, it's always good to apply for FEMA. They've, changed and tweaked some of their programs, so they do have some grant fundings now for business for certain items. They have them always for homeowners and renters, but they don't give you the amount of funding that you need to get yourself back to whole. I think the total grant for an individual from FEMA would be about $33,000. We're doing more than that. So we need to make sure that you have the information you need to make an informed decision.
Yeah, I will say I was working along the coast, the Atlantic coast recently, and some areas they didn't have a lot of damage, even though they did have flooding, because the business owners have invested in door barriers and sump pumps, and they're just getting to be, kind of set up for these disasters. Like, okay, we know the drill, and they've invested in those mitigation improvements, and it's really helping their businesses. They don't stay closed as long, they can reopen faster, they have less damage. So if mitigation would help you, please apply for that. I really think it's a good option.
Any questions? I know we just filled up a little bit of the time, so.
No, I mean, Eric had put, if there were other webinars for other states, and I went ahead and I added the link for all of our upcoming events. So sometimes if you put some of those keywords, Helene or Milton or whatever storm
Or
potentially,
disaster.
or disaster, then, across all the disaster webinars that SBA is hosting would show up. So I just wanted to mention that, but I did add that to the chat.
Yeah, I know initially North Carolina was doing some, South Carolina was doing some, but I don't know that they're doing it on the ongoing basis that we are here.
Got
So,
it.
but we also know in Florida, it's, when, not if, we're going to get hit somewhere sometime. So I will tell you, my first hurricane was Hurricane Andrew back in 1992 when I first came down to Florida, and it was an eye opener. It taught me a lot about making sure that my family was prepared, right? Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, it was very interesting. And I will tell you, we're talking about long-term recovery and how long it takes for a community to be able to say that they are out from underneath any devastation from the storms. Hurricane Andrew happened in 92. It took them 22 years to close that storm out. As a whole, the state, it took 22 years to say that it was all done with. So these have lingering effects. And so that's why we're trying to bring you some information that, again, you can use to make an informed decision, put it that way. I don't think we have any other questions.
Nope, I don't think so.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we can go ahead and wrap it up and give you 6 minutes back of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to North Florida, to Julie from Disaster for being here with us. We're very grateful. Like Janelle mentioned, I'll upload this webinar so that you have it as a reference, and then Janelle will also share the slides, the updated slides. So if you have any additional questions and if you think of some, we'll be here again next week, same time.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Good luck,
Thank you,
everyone.
Julie.